Wolfe and Brennan in the morning.
And we are back once again. I am Wolfe, and as always, I am joined with Brennan.
Hey, guys.
So today we are reviewing... I really need to start memorizing these episode names.
Introduction to Statistics.
Yes, Intro to Statistics. I knew it was an intro to something. And if I had just thought about it for 1 second and remembered who Jeff is going after this episode, I would have remembered that it's Intro to Statistics. Anyway, shall we begin with... now that we know what episode we're doing, shall we begin with An Old White Man Does?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Old White Man Does.
Wait, I'm Old White Man Says.
You know I gotta do that jingle every time.
Alright, so today, Old White Man Does is actually not a resident. It is my grandfather. There is a story that we have heard growing up where my grandfather had I don't know what surgery it was, but he had a surgery, so they gave him some severe painkillers, which ties into this episode with Pierce doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, in the recovery room after the surgery, my grandmother walks in to my grandfather standing on his bed in his hospital gown, waving the front of it up and down, cooling himself off, screaming, "I'm so sweaty!" Just exposing himself to everyone that walked by.
Wait, oh no! Exposing himself, jeez. Oh
Yeah.
no!
Like you know how those hospital gowns are just like an apron?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just fanning himself with that, but lifting it up
jeez.
over his head and bringing it back down.
Yikes. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Oh man. I feel like that'd be a Pierce moment.
Oh, absolutely. So, the moral of the story is, if you ever have a friend or a family member getting surgery that has those drugs, get a video of them afterwards and you might win America's Funniest Home Videos. But
Yes.
Unfortunately, we did not get a video. Well, fortunately of that, we did not get a video.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, other times in the family history, we have not gotten videos.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing with that. Like, it's hit or miss with those meds, really,
Yeah.
because one moment you'll get someone, like, going batshit crazy like your grandpa.
Yeah.
Or you'll get someone who just says a bunch of goofy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get me after my wisdom teeth surgery, where I just say nothing, stand there, and have to be escorted to the car.
Yeah.
Maybe nowadays I'd be funnier, but I was also 16 and
Yeah.
very, very out of it.
Yeah, I think... So, when I had my tonsils and adenoids removed, I didn't do anything funny. I just remember waking up in the recovery room and then being walked to the car. I didn't say anything. Like, I think I just had a normal conversation with my grandparents. My sister, on the other hand, we have a 30-something long minute video of her
30
after hers.
minute?
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
so I picked her up. Her appointment was like an hour and a half away. So I picked her up and I brought her there, sat there while she had her surgery, and I have a decently sized truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she has a hard time getting in and out of the truck when she's not on drugs.
Oh, no.
So I brought this like little foldable stool to put on the ground in front of the truck if she needed to climb up into it.
Yeah.
And she saw me packing that in there, so like as we were about to leave, and she says, "I will not need that, and I will not use that." I was like, "All right, sure." Put it in the truck. We take her. She comes out. She can't walk. Like,
Ooh.
she was out. So instead of using the stool, I had to pick her up out of the wheelchair and set her down in the passenger seat.
Hey, I mean, she didn't use the stool.
But yeah, so it's clips from that whole drive home,
Oh, man.
and it's 30 minutes worth. I think my favorite one was when I told her that she asked me why her mouth was hurting, and I told her she had surgery, and she's like, "Then why do my eyes hurt?" And I was like, "Well, you did drugs you had some drugs to help you with the pain." And she went, "I did drugs? Does my dad know?" I was like, "Yeah, he paid for it. This is the doctor gave them to you." And she goes, "The doctor gave me drugs? Does he do drugs?"
Oh, my gosh.
Interesting conversation.
Oh, I bet.
There was about a 3-second pause after that, and she just like flops her head over to look at me and goes, "You have 3 eyes. How do you do that?"
Oh my gosh.
It's just a very, very entertaining video. She almost opened the door as we were.
Oh,
Um.
yikes.
So she asked me, if she had her wisdom teeth removed, and they had like impacted, so like they were over her canines. It was
Yeah.
bad. And so she had to have her like gauze changed every half hour. The problem was her appointment was an hour and 15 minutes away from our house.
Ooh.
So I was hoping I wouldn't have to change it and we could just get home and then my dad could deal with it. Nope.
Yeah.
She started like bleeding through the gauze and like we had to pull over and she like spit out the door and all that. But when we got home, we were about like we were pulling into our street, or we were going down the highway outside of the town I live in, and she asks if she can spit out the window, and I was like, no, don't do that. Let's just pull over. And then she just looks at me and goes, "Can I jump out the window?" And I was like, no. So I like locked the windows, the child lock window.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she's gonna try it. And she tried rolling the window down and didn't work. So we pulled over, let her spit again, got back in the truck, and as we were pulling onto my street, she just opens the passenger door and leans out. With her seatbelt on, luckily, because the amount of leaning she was doing, if she didn't have her seatbelt on, she would have tumbled out.
Oh,
It's like-
man.
I didn't think to lock the doors, because I didn't expect her to be that gone,
Yeah, yeah.
It was a very, very entertaining video. If I have her permission, Wolf, I'll send you the video later.
That'll be awesome, yeah. That would be hilarious.
She
to
doesn't
see.
mind me talking about it, but I don't think she cares. I don't think she wants me sharing it with people, so...
Well, now the whole world's gonna know.
Well, she's fine with me talking about it, but
Yeah.
just not showing the video to strangers. So,
That's fair.
but yeah, very
Do
entertaining.
you know what I did when I was coming out of my wisdom tooth surgery?
What do you do?
I just stood there. I got escorted by the nurse to my car. I didn't need like a wheelchair or help. Not help getting in. I needed help getting in. I didn't need help being carried in. I just needed to like be walked out.
Yeah.
All I remember is that the nurse was blonde and kind of cute. But I
Nice.
don't remember what her face looks like. I just remember being drugged out and thinking that she is cute. And then
Nice.
when I got home, I had some blueberries and immediately vomited them all.
Ooh, yikes.
Or no, I didn't have blueberries. That was a different time because you can't have solid foods. I think it was, I don't know. I tried to eat something after the surgery that was soft, and then I ended up throwing it all up. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just not going to eat for a while.
Yeah. I think beyond the tonsils and stuff, the only other surgery I ever had was getting tubes put in as a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, let's get
into the episode.
Introduction to Statistics. I shall do a recap. So, Annie hosts a Dia de los Muertos party. I need to brush up on my Spanish. I'm mispronouncing that like crazy. Dia de los Muertos party. And students who attend it get extra credit. Jeff decides to pursue his statistics professor, Michelle Slater, who turns him down despite being attracted to him very clearly. Shirley decides to target Slater because she feels that she is stealing Jeff from Britta. That is not the case at all. Because Britta she clearly rejected him at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
And has rejected him throughout the series so far. So Slater's not stealing anyone. In fact, Jeff's like, okay, yeah, I'm not going after you anymore because you don't want me. I'm going to go after this hot professor. Later at the party, Pierce and Starburns decide to swap pills, which sends Pierce into a bad trip. Jeff leaves to see Slater at the faculty Halloween party, ditching the study group for his own selfish purposes. Meanwhile, Shirley destroys Slater's property, fully convinced that she is stealing Jeff from Britta. Again, she's not. Later, she admits that her rage is really towards her ex-husband, who took back the wedding ring he gave her. Jeff is confronted at this party mid-flirty conversation by his classmates who try to persuade him to come back to the party to fix all the problems happening there. He tells them to leave, uses a move on Slater suggested to Jeff by Chang. Pierce attempts to crush himself with furniture after having an existential crisis during his trip. This causes Jeff to abandon his sexcapade with Slater to help his friends, specifically Pierce, giving him some encouragement. Then suddenly, Batman.
What a
That's it. That's the recap.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So as always, I've got my overall notes and I've got my observations, funny stuff, and then we can wrap it up with some trivia and meow meow beans.
All right. Well,
So
yeah, you want to go first?
Sure. So we have more softening of Jeff, but this time it really doesn't feel like a specific study group member does this, at least to me. Instead, it seems like kind of like different members of the group as a whole do it.
Do what?
Like
Sorry.
they soften up Jeff's character a bit.
Yeah. Is this the...
So this is the 7th episode.
Yeah, so if this is one character where he's getting close to one character, because remember how they started off with that?
Yeah.
So,
But Annie, like the only other character left would be Annie, because last time we said it was Troy.
Yeah, this
But Annie
episode, it is her party, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
All right,
But
sorry.
she doesn't really do much herself.
There is a fire truck that just went by. I live right next to the fire station, so I apologize for any post-editing.
It won't be too bad. People listening to this podcast are used to background noise by now, I'd hope.
That's fair.
I mean, with my cat, the car wash next door to me, and you messing with your keys last week.
Yeah, was that that was my fidget spinner, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to keep my hands empty this week.
Oh, man.
All right. Yeah, sorry. Back on topic. Yeah, I would say that this is Annie's episode, even though the group kind of helps all together.
But Jeff also opens up to new ways of doing things through Chang.
Yeah.
And then also ended up backing out of sleeping with Slater because his friends needed help. Right. So he's growing in a few different areas. He's like, okay, fine, I'll try this pathetic approach that ends up working for some reason.
Somehow it works.
Somehow. I feel if you did that in real life, I feel like you'd get punched.
You either get punched or slapped with a sexual assault charge.
Yep.
Or sexual harassment, because that wasn't assault.
No, it wasn't assault. Harassment.
It was harassment, yeah.
Yeah. I think it just so happens to work out that she's attracted to him.
Yeah.
This episode, we also got the first of the homage/parody filming with that Batman scene at the end. Like, it just goes full-on Christopher Nolan Batman.
It was great. Which
It's
apparently
so good.
that, like, voiceover that Abed was... Danny Pudi was doing was all improvised. They were just telling him to like just ramble on about Batman and justice and the night. The whole
he
thing
did a
was
good job
improvised
of it.
in one take.
Oh my gosh. One
which
take.
is very impressive.
That is impressive. Yeah, while we're on that like improv bit, whenever Troy and Batman are talking at the party and Troy asks, "Hey Batman, am I attractive?" And then Batman says that he's a very good-looking dude or something along those lines.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of alternate
And a
takes.
bunch of them. Like there's
Yeah.
and
'Cause
those were all improv.
Yeah, because as we know, there are a lot of parts of Community scripts where they just said Donald Glover says something funny. I'm convinced this was one of them.
Yeah. This one and then the end tag as well was also a lot of improv. Like there were multiple takes of that as well.
I knew the end tag was improv because it just feels like it's just Donald and Danny riffing in Batman voices.
Yeah. And then there's like alternate takes of that too in the bonus feature in the DVD.
I'm going to go back and watch those later.
I thought about doing it tonight, but before we recorded, but then my sister wanted to hang out, so.
Yeah. Dang drug-addicted sister. Not actually.
Yeah, it was her gotcha day yesterday, and we were all busy, so. So for those of you who don't know what a gotcha day is, it's gotcha day or family day. It really depends on the person what they want to call it. But we adopted my sister from India years ago. So yesterday was the 13th anniversary of her plane touching down in America. So when she officially joined the family.
Nice.
So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know these were in the bonus features, so
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and watch them.
Yeah. That's how we got on that topic. I was trying to figure out how we got there. Okay.
No, that's me all
Yeah.
the time, though.
Yeah.
Like, even, like, in my own, like, daydreaming, mind-wandering stuff, like, I'll just go down this rabbit hole of thought and then just wonder, how the hell did I get here? It's not just in conversation, it's in my own mind as well. This is my life. Oh, man. especially at my job, because it's really just stuff you do with your hands all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really like have to talk much, and it's so easy to just go on autopilot and just think.
Mm-hmm.
And like daydream and all that. So this happens all the time at work. But yeah, so this is an interesting note I put down. So do we think Britta is starting to get jealous in this episode?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because Jeff is now showing interest in other women.
Well, it's not just that. She snapped the head off of her statue, off of Slater's statue. So
yeah, after the whole episode saying, no, it's nothing. It's nothing at all.
Very clearly getting jealous.
Yeah. I wonder if it started with Jeff's, Jeff's cowboy costume. With just how tight it was. Because her just going in and being like, whoa, yippee-ki-yay.
Yep. Might be. But they've kind of had that tension throughout the whole show already, even though it's only episode 7.
That's true. And
but
I guess
that might have
Jeff's
been like the deciding factor, I guess. But.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Jeff is growing as a character, and maybe Britta sees that. Like, he admits, like, I'd be psyched to be your friend, and isn't just going after her to sleep with her and such.
Yeah.
So maybe she's like, okay, maybe he's not such a douche after all, and is opening up to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then is like, oh, here's Slater. Britta's starting to get jealous, so...
Yeah.
It's a turning point for the series, I think.
Yeah.
At least for this season. I think this is a completely different topic, but I think this episode balanced all the study group members pretty well.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. Getting the, gosh dang it, my brain just shut off. Giving each study group member a decent amount of screen time.
Yeah. And even if, like, I think Troy was really the only one that didn't have much of a hand in the story, besides, like, joining the others to tell Jeff to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he had memorable moments too, which is fantastic.
Very memorable moments. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the most memorable moments from this episode, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When Troy goes, Jeff Pierce took something and he is tripping balls. He's touching people and dancing weird. It's like grumpy old man, but not hilarious. That whole like quote was improv.
Was it really?
Yeah. There's like a bunch of extra. I don't know if it's in the DVD, but in the commentary they were talking about how there were a bunch of different takes of that of him just improvising.
Yeah. I know there's like a lot of outtakes out there on YouTube. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those ended up there. But I do love the ones where he's like asking Batman a question the most.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah. And then we also got to see a more vulnerable side of Shirley this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, she's still trying to portray herself as a strong, independent woman, but then she ends up revealing, like, that she's, like, actually, like, harboring a lot of, like, anger and sadness towards her husband, who has taken the wedding ring back.
Yeah.
Even though Shirley was like, I took it off myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm embracing single life. She's just trying to, like, be strong for everyone else for some reason. Like,
she's ashamed that she doesn't have it all together, I think.
Yes, I think that's a really good observation.
I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but you know what? What the heck? She's basically trying to be the perfect image of the Christian housewife, but she's divorced, so she's struggling to remedy that fact with her faith.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, I agree with that. That's a really good observation.
Like, my family grew up Christian. We still are Christian, but my parents are divorced. Beyond, I won't go into much more detail than that, but it's not... There is definitely a component of Christians looking down on us because our family is divorced, which sucks. It shouldn't be that way, but...
No, it shouldn't.
To quote Jeff later on in the show, this is a topic that breeds conflict, so let's move on.
Yeah. But that is a good observation.
It just ties in with the observation of Shirley.
Yeah, and I do think that's a good observation, especially because she is trying to, like, not always, but she does tend to try to be this, like, perfect Christian image.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of obvious in the show, so I hope you don't get much flack for that.
If we do, it's fine. I don't care. I've got bigger problems.
If we get if we get flack for this, it's probably from the people who relate to Shirley in that way and don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, let's. Yeah, so Shirley we get her vulnerable side. We get to learn more about her character and how deeply like this stuff is really affecting her. And I mean, no duh, divorce is going to deeply affect anyone going through it, especially in her case when like he like cheats on her with a stripper.
Yeah, that's right.
So on top of that, then he comes back and is like, "Hey, I want the wedding ring back." So but we do get some funny moments from that. Just like with Shirley taking out her hurt on Professor Slater's car, trying to like fill her office with water.
Ooh, actually, quick trivia about that scene where she's bringing the hose around Professor Slater's office.
Yeah.
The original script actually had Shirley trying to take a crap in Professor Slater's desk instead of running the hose. Like, that was the original plan.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad they went with the hose.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would fit her character at
It
all.
wouldn't. And actually that sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure that like Yvette Nicole Brown like protested against like the
Yeah, she went to one of the Russo brothers' offices and told them that she doesn't want to do that. It wouldn't fit her character, and she didn't feel comfortable doing it.
Hey, good for her.
Yeah.
Honestly, she knew her character better than the writers did sometimes.
Yeah. Because her,
great
like,
yeah.
her infamous, "That's nice,"
Yeah.
that sometimes is scripted, sometimes she would just throw it in there because it fit the character moment, and it wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, also because as great as a show Community is, they do not know how to write black female characters well.
No.
Like, there are just some moments I'm like, this was written by a white guy. So I'm glad that she, like, would push sometimes. And there are other moments in the series. There's another infamous one that we'll talk about in season 2, where she, like, pushes back and, like, gets some extra screen time because of it.
I'm not too sure what you're talking about, so I'm excited to hear about it when we get there.
Yeah. That's the last of my overall notes.
Right. That kind of covered all my overall notes. I've just got some trivia and funny moments left.
Let's do the funny moments, and then we can get
right.
into some trivia.
So,
you go first since I started with the overall stuff.
So, some of the funny moments are this, like, kind of a monologue from Abed about, "My grandpa took that at your age, helped him with his going problem." By the time Grandpa got up in years, though, his memory wasn't great. He'd mixed the wrong pills, and you know how old people are? To which Pierce just goes, "I've heard stories." And Abed was like, "One time he ran down the street with no pants on," which in the Gaza Strip are considered real party fouls, so you should be careful. That whole, like, monologue just is great. Abed being unable to read Pierce's body language was great.
Yep, and then Pierce immediately responding with, "I don't need your advice, and I'm not your pantsless grandpa."
And then Troy perking up and going, "Pantsless grandpa," and going back to his homework.
Yeah, I feel like I actually wrote this down as an Abed autism moment.
Yeah.
Because first, Pierce is trying to discreetly take a pill without anyone seeing. Abed basically announces that to the world.
Yeah, basically.
Having no idea that he's trying to be discreet. And not realizing that Pierce is, like, feeling embarrassed because of this thing that he has to do. Then goes on to talk about his grandpa because it relates to the current situation.
Yeah.
Not realizing it's not appropriate. Like, he's just trying to, like, keep...
He's trying to stay on topic, which is good.
Yeah.
It's just not socially acceptable the way he went about it.
No.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people with autism, myself included, have struggled with in the past or continue to struggle with, like, not knowing when to bring up certain things, or whether, like, to keep a conversation going, you bring up things that are related, right? Well, maybe not this. Going back to the very beginning of the episode, though, Mexican Halloween, that's not a real sex position.
I assumed it wasn't. I wasn't going to look it up because I don't want my internet thing going off and alerting people.
I don't remember how I found out. I was not I didn't look it up either. I think I somehow stumbled upon it. Like, I think either on Reddit or could have been on the Darkest Timeline podcast too.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I remember somehow I didn't seek out this answer myself. Like, I was like, there's a bunch of weird sex stuff. Who knows if it's real? I'd believe it if it is.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't. So it was Reddit now that I think about it, because someone asked a question about what that was and people had to comment like, that's not a real position.
Yeah.
Even though he does like a hand motion towards the end of the episode.
I
a
assumed
cowabunga.
it wasn't. It just sounds so... It doesn't sound like a sex position, so...
No, it really doesn't. While we're still on this scene, like whenever Shirley's like saying it's time to embrace being single, Pierce just going, message received.
That was so uncomfortable.
Yes, but it calls back to the pilot when he's like
It's amazing.
into Shirley.
Yeah,
it
it's
is
amazing, but it's uncomfortable.
Yes, it's one of those things. It's like it's amazing because it's uncomfortable. I think.
Yeah.
It's just like Pierce just has no chill.
Yeah, and like this one, I just have a question about this one, because the quote when Britta and Annie are talking to each other at the beginning of the party, and Britta goes, "I hate it when women use Halloween to dress up like sluts, you know?" And Annie goes, "Yeah," and drops her cape, reveals a skeleton costume. Is that supposed to be slutty?
I think it's just because it's skin tight.
Like, was
And
that...
Annie is oblivious to the fact that some people might see it as such.
Okay, because in my mind, it goes... I don't know where I remember hearing this. I think it was in some podcast. In Avatar The Last Airbender, the beach episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, I heard about it on a podcast called Analyzing Avatar The Late Airbender, where two guys...
I think I know what moment you're going to be talking
Phenomenal
about.
podcast. If you are a fan of Last Airbender, go listen to that podcast. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's allergy season here right now, and I'm dying. So I apologize for any coughs or noises I make. In the podcast, they talk about how in the beach episode, they had the animators originally drew Azula, May, and Ty Lee's swimsuits a lot more risque and barely there, so they could get away with what they wanted. Because they just had normal bikinis, but it's a kids' television show it's a kids' network, Nickelodeon, and they wouldn't have allowed that. So they just went to the far extreme. So by comparison, what they were planning on was actually better. So I feel like, was this kind of like that, but they just didn't go to the far extreme because it's a real person?
Maybe.
So
Yeah. But
yeah, just
here's the
interesting.
thing. In the show, they've dressed her up, for lack of a better word, sluttier in the show.
Yeah, like that.
Like in the
Santa
Christmas
Claus
season
thing.
3 episode. Yes.
Yeah,
in season
that
3,
one
her
makes
outfit.
me uncomfortable every time. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's
they've gone further than just a skin tight skeleton suit.
And
But
it wasn't
I
even
think,
that skin tight. It was like a onesie.
Yeah, but like I think the joke is that Annie's like oblivious to the fact that she might be perceived as like slutty to some, which is dumb that that is considered slutty to me. But
yeah, I would just
well.
that. I've seen worse in everyday life. Anyway, when Starburns and Pierce, after they take their each other's medicine, or Starburn takes Pierce's medicine, and then Pierce takes what in the trivia they say it's ecstasy. That Pierce takes. I don't think they say it in the episode, but it's supposed to be ecstasy. When
some sort of psychedelic.
When Starburn says that my heart stopped racing and I can't pee is a bad thing, but isn't your heart stop racing? Isn't that a good thing? Like, it's not supposed to be racing. Yeah.
Oh.
He said my heart stopped racing and I can't pee. Isn't it a good thing that your heart isn't racing all the time?
I think so. Maybe he's just used to being on drugs.
Yeah, could be. But it just some weird things that didn't line up in my brain.
Yeah, like, I think, but it also lines up pretty well with, like, Pierce's, like, symptoms, like, or what Abed points out are his medications.
Yeah.
Because he's like, because his grandpa had to take the medication to stop, like, using the bathroom all the time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice touch that they did that.
It was. The heart thing is what threw me off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think it would start racing.
Another question I had. So if Jeff needed Chang to make him his +1 to get into the faculty party. How did the rest of the study group get in there?
I'm guessing that they probably did what Pierce did and just pushed their way in.
Yeah, but it's just like, it was just interesting. It's
Everyone's drunk at that party. If they're an adult in a costume, I feel like they're getting in.
That's fair. That's fair.
Just Pierce draws attention to himself, so like more people see that. Like the rest of the study group, they kind of draw attention to themselves, but they also went straight to
Jeff. Yeah.
Straight to Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. Really funny moment was when Jeff goes, Pierce, stop grinding on the women's studies department. Of everyone he could have done that to.
The women's studies, yes. Obviously, you have to pick that one.
Dear.
Like, the joke doesn't land or isn't really a joke unless you do women's studies department.
Exactly. And probably my favorite line in this entire episode is Chang going, look at me. I got the body of a 5th grader.
He still does.
That one gets me every time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's all of my funny moments and quotes.
Yeah, I have some more observations.
All right.
Like the over-exaggeration of old people with technology through Pierce not figuring out his phone is always hilarious.
That's
getting to
not
the
an
point he just... Well, like, he gets to the point where he's, like, banging a chair loudly so people don't hear, like, what his mom's trying to talk to him about.
That's fair, yeah.
But, like, in general, just, like, not figuring out how to do voice commands, accidentally calling his mom through voice command, then not knowing how to hang up the phone. But it was also funny because he also acted like a kid who doesn't want to talk to his mom on the phone and is like, go through a tunnel. Sorry, I just had to do the banging for that.
Nah, you're good.
It startled my cat a bit too, so.
It is. Okay. Also, it did just start thunderstorming here, which is wonderful.
Oh, it's sunny where I am.
Dude, I really hope my power doesn't go out again, like last time.
Oh, that would suck. But at least we know it autosaves.
Yes, we do. Thank God, because last week was amazing. We would not have been able to recreate that. Dude. So, what's the rest of your funny moments and quotes?
Slater kind of stutters when Jeff stares at her during class.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whenever she's about to wrap up the class, she, like, kind of... You see Jeff looking at her, she starts to stutter, looks at her watch. It's like, she's into him.
Oh,
and then practically admitted that he'd be a good fit for her after the fact.
Yeah.
And
when she goes, I've graded enough of your test to know I'd never feel mentally inadequate.
Yes, and also when she's like, it is uncanny how many buttons of mine you're pushing right now.
Yeah.
And she is, the whole time, she's giving off this flirtatious vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's almost playing hard to get. Like, but she keeps insisting on that rule, but is like, she definitely wants Jeff, but
yeah,
I don't know if she's playing hard to get or trying to be a good professor.
I think both.
Yeah.
Like, she's very clearly conflicted that she doesn't want to date students, but she is also very clearly attracted to Jeff.
Let's see. What else did I have? Pierce insulting Jeff at the party is hilarious, too. He's just like, what are you going as, a gay douchebag?
That was great.
And then Jeff just being like, I'm not much of a costume guy. And Pierce immediately clapping back, no hesitation. You're not much of a liking ladies guy either.
That was awesome, yeah.
It's hilarious. And then, but he also ruins his own, like, joke by being like, booyah. It's like, it would have been funnier if you didn't say the booyah, but that also is what makes it funnier in the show to me.
Oh, it fits Pierce's character.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, whenever Annie's upset about Jeff leaving and then people going to watch the news at home.
Oh.
And then Pierce just goes up to her and starts massaging her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And Annie's reaction was so delayed.
It was.
Like, she goes from slowly being upset to creeped out and is just standing there for a solid, like, 10 seconds, I think, or something like that. Like, Pierce is massaging her, says his line, and then she,
to be fair, I feel like if I was in her position, I'd have the exact same reaction.
That's fair.
I'd kind of just be shook and be like, what in the hell is happening? And then just kind of slowly, like... I feel like I kind of freeze for a second and process what is happening.
Yeah.
And then kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, that's fair. I feel like I'd freeze at first too, and then just be like, oh, whoa. Like, I don't think, like, my face would change that slowly. Like, it felt delayed.
It was also for comedic effect, I believe.
Oh,
That
yeah,
it was that slow.
absolutely. Yeah.
But it worked
Which,
great.
that's what, it was funny to me too.
Yeah.
And then after the whole, like, whoa, yippee-ki-yay thing, and then Pierce going through the party, the faculty party, all trippy and stuff. Jeff calls him old. Britta and Abed both get on Jeff. Like, Britta's like, way to go, or something like that. And then Abed's like, I know I'm not Batman. You could be less rude about it.
Yeah.
Then Troy, you'd think it's going to be another, like, getting on him, but he's just like, she's hot, man. Just
Yeah.
compliments his taste in women.
Yep.
While we're talking about the faculty party, after Jeff is begging for Slater to sleep with him, if you look closely in the shot where she and him are both walking out, as she's walking off, you start to see her smirk a little bit.
Yeah, I did pick up on that, yeah.
And that, if you didn't think that she wanted Jeff before, you'd know now.
Yeah.
Which, it's weird because the whole time I've seen this episode many times, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did not pick up on the fact that Slater was into him as much as she was until this viewing.
I've noticed that, like, as I'm, like, watching episodes for this podcast, I'm noticing more things that I normally would.
Me too, yeah. And
It's like we're in analysis mode instead of just entertainment mode.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah.
so you notice a lot more. But yeah, like, I'm like, oh, Slater's definitely into him, so she's definitely
Yeah.
not just pitying him.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm getting towards the end of my notes, so this will be a short episode.
I've got some general trivia left.
Yeah, okay. So I'll finish my stuff. I only have 2 bits. So
Okay.
whenever Jeff is going into the chair fortress, I like how they made the music like cowboy-esque.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Yeah.
Immediately following it by Batman-esque music going into this full homage scene.
It
It's
was
like
great.
shot like a Christopher Nolan film. I was like, this is fantastic. This is what I'm here for.
Yeah. Yep.
This is Community at its peak, is when they do homages.
Yeah.
Or maybe in this case it'd be parody because it's like actually Batman. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. But either way, like, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And
it's
then-
great. There is actually speaking of the Batman thing, there was an idea that the directors had, but they decided against it because they decided it would have been too much, which I agree with it, but it still would be a funny, I think, to see, was that at the end when Abed's standing on the roof and, you know, overlooking the school as Batman, the idea was to have the Bat logo go up in the sky behind him, but instead of the Bat logo, it was the title tag of Community.
That would have been awesome.
It would have been cool, but I'm glad they didn't do that because it would have taken you out of the moment, I guess, and it wouldn't have
Yeah.
been.
If it had said like Greendale or Abed, maybe that would have worked better.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, no, that was my last note. I miscounted. So let's hear
Okay.
some of your trivia.
All right. Naturally, I start yawning.
Yeah, of course, right as you need to talk.
Okay. You know those yawns that are like too big for your mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I might start yawning again.
one of those.
I'm sorry. I might start yawning again here in a minute because it was one of those.
It's, oh my gosh, yawning is contagious even when you don't see the person. We've made an important discovery today on this podcast.
Dude. Yeah, dude, it sucks.
Hey there, sorry, Wolfe and Brennan of the past. It's me, Wolfe, who's editing this episode right now. And I just wanted to come on and say that their yawns were contagious to me too, it's not even live at this point. Recorded yawns of the past have made me yawn in the present, but maybe that just means I need more sleep. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
So, Gillian being in squirrel costume, that was her idea. She wanted to be a squirrel, and they kind of went with her for it.
Oh, nice.
Which was, every time I see her costume, it reminds me of Scrat from Ice Age. I love it.
Yeah.
They're very similar
Yeah.
personality, I think.
Yep.
Both of them were buzzkill in a certain way.
Yep. They're both a bit nutty.
Yeah, nice. Nice.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, I would hope so. um, So Pierce dressing up as the Beastmaster to be cool lines up with his character being out of touch perfectly. Because Beastmaster is an actual movie that came out in... Oh, come on, I got... Where? Okay, well, I have it pulled up and it doesn't tell me what... Oh, 1982.
Wow.
And it got a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Damn.
54% audience score. So, not a good
Yikes.
movie.
No. And it's also an older movie that no one else would have watched, so...
Exactly, so it lines up with his character perfectly.
Like, see, everyone watching this episode would think he's He-Man, right?
Yeah, I thought he was He-Man the first time I saw it.
Yeah. Like, every time I watch this episode, I forget he's supposed to be the Beastmaster, and the instant I see his costume, I'm like, oh, yay, Pierce's He-Man costume.
Yeah.
And it's like, Beastmaster? Who the fuck is that?
I want to go watch Beastmaster now just to see how bad it is.
Oh, man. You and your bad movies.
Yeah. We need to rewatch Last Airbender, Wolf.
Ah, no.
The movie.
No.
The earthbending scene, Wolf. Just remember that clip.
You know what? Actually, to be honest, I might be able to handle a rewatch of The Last Airbender because whenever we saw it together that time, it was
Yeah.
before I had seen Cats. And
See,
Cats
I
broke
haven't
me.
seen Cats. I still haven't seen that one.
Cats broke me. And I have a friend who's seen, like, because there's a butthole edit of Cats.
Oh, dear.
And that was the one that first aired in theaters before they went back and digitally removed them.
Oh, dear.
I have a friend who has seen the butthole edit.
That's awful.
Yeah. So I am glad I was spared that
Yeah.
by watching Cats 2 to 3 years after it came out, which meant no butthole cut. But
Cats
still,
is going to be one of those movies that I'm going to watch when I need to be mad at something.
yes.
So, I have yet to watch it. It is on my list of bad movies. But,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, like nothing can be worse than Cats. So I'm open to Last Airbender again
Has that-
after Cats. It's that bad.
So, got 3 more general trivia things.
Okay.
When Pierce walks into the cafeteria and like bursts his way into the faculty party and starts talking to the owl on his arm and calls it Abed,
Yeah.
that was Chevy's idea to call it Abed.
Nice.
The guns for Jeff's costume were actually real. They just didn't have a firing pin in, so they were unable to fire anything.
Oh wow.
So apparently the actor had a lot of fun playing with those.
I bet.
And then this was just some behind the scenes stuff, which was funny. That was in the commentary. Was when recording the scene when Pierce is tripping and it's like the hallucination of Annie asking him to tell her about the Beatles and Woodstock and doing that weird skeleton dance.
Yeah.
When they were filming that, it was just Annie standing in front of a green screen and they were just feeding her lines to repeat in that sexy voice or whatever it's supposed to be. And after like they were finished, they turned around and Chevy was standing in the back just watching them. And he just goes, "For the record, I knew the Beatles and Woodstock. Or I knew the Beatles and I was at Woodstock. So you guys can go fuck yourselves." And he walks out.
Classic
They were just
Chevy
making
Chase.
old jokes the entire time.
And he actually, that's, oh my gosh. That makes that even better.
Yeah. It was great.
Oh, Chevy Chase. Was there any other trivia you had?
That's all I've got.
Okay, well, somehow, for the first week ever, you have not said any of the trivia I have written down.
Let's go.
Yeah. But I only have 2 pieces because
Okay.
Community's Wiki didn't have any trivia for this episode, which is a first for them. And IMDb had 2. Technically, they had 3, but one of them's a spoiler, so we'll save that for the episode that it's spoiling. So it
Okay.
only had 2. So here's those 2. So Shirley in this episode makes a reference to the movie The Ugly Truth, which Yvette Nicole Brown appears in. That's whenever she references the Gerard Butler movie where he holds a heart over his wiener.
Ah, okay.
The second piece of trivia is Bunny Levine, the actress who plays Chevy Chase's mother, is only 15 years older than him in real life. It's always weird whenever like they cast like someone to like play someone's parent and they're like not much older or they're younger in some cases.
Yeah. It's wild to think that, like, his mother is still alive, looking as old as he does in the TV show.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Like, she'd have to be
very old.
90s or 100s.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, and my step-grandpa's, I think, about the same age as Pierce, maybe like a year off, maybe a year older or so.
Yeah.
And so if he's 80 this year, which would have made Pierce in his late 60s. So yeah, his mother would have to be in his 90s.
Yeah.
And somehow knows how to work a phone.
Better than Pierce.
Yep, better than Pierce.
Better than her child.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yep. So shall we get into the Meow Meow Beans?
Yeah.
All right, what is your score?
I gave this one a 3 out of 5. It's a good one, but it's not one of my favorites.
I gave it a 3 as well.
Hey, we're back to giving each other the same score. Look at
Yep. And in parentheses next to the score, I wrote, Batman is the best part.
that. Yeah. Abed's Batman impression is...
Spot on.
See, I can't do that anymore. I used to.
Really?
I can't do Batman voice anymore.
Is it because of the tonsils?
It might be. That might be it. I don't know. It's just weird. I can do other things, but I can't do Batman.
Dang, that's tough.
Yeah. And, like, I used to be able to do Gollum as well, and I can't do Gollum anymore. I think it's, like, the deep... It's the deep voice that I can't do anymore.
Oh.
And the only ones I can do are Dobby. Dobby, sir. Dobby the house elf.
That's decent, yeah. Yeah, you still got the Dobby in you.
Yeah. And then I sometimes can do Yoda.
Yoda, you see
Yeah.
Yoda.
See, you can do the talking better. I can't do the talking anymore. I can do the laughing, but can't do the talking. And then kind of do Darth Vader. And then Chewbacca is probably my best one, which is... Which, Wolf, were you there with us when we went to Disney?
Yeah.
This camp group? Dude,
Yeah, I was one of the people that helped make it happen.
Yeah.
I have a photo of myself, you, and Donovan on my on my corkboard right next to me. I was there.
I was having a hard time remembering if it was you or Blake who couldn't make it.
It was Blake.
Yeah, I remember that now.
My gosh, man.
Dude, I think my favorite part of that trip was getting to do the Chewbacca impression to Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And, like, having him just kind of, like, shake his head at everyone else doing the impression. Then when I did it, he kind of, like, waved his hand, kind of shook his hand either way, like, kind of.
Yeah.
That was, like, the highlight of my trip.
How did he react to mine?
and-
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I just had the video of me doing it.
Yeah.
Chewbacca, and then some random girl in the background going, "Oh, that was really good." That was that, and then pulling the lever for hyperspace.
Yeah.
Those were the two highlights.
Yes. I'm going back to Galaxy's Edge.
Dude, Galaxy's Edge is so much fun. If only they weren't so dead set on being sequel trilogy only.
Well, they have those days where they bring in, like, Din Djarin and Ahsoka,
they do,
Chopper.
but,
they bring
like,
them in occasionally.
If they could, like, expand Galaxy's Edge to have a section of each, like, era, you know?
Yeah, that
like,
would be cool, actually.
Have, like, a Rebels, a Rebellion, an Empire section.
Then prequels era.
Yeah,
Clone
and then, like,
Wars.
having the prequel era. You know how much fun that would be?
That would be so
Like,
cool.
being able to go from era to era.
That would be awesome. And it would fit, too, because Anakin's been to the planet that Galaxy's Edge takes place on.
Exactly.
Canonically, he's been there, and so has, like,
Exactly.
Thrawn, so you could pull in other characters as well. Man,
Yeah.
they need to do that, but I will be going back to Galaxy's Edge one day. I have to.
Yeah. One day. Cost-wise is the problem, though. But, hey, when we go down there, if we go together, we can stay at my grandparents' house about an hour and a half away. So.
Nice.
And if we're just doing Galaxy's Edge, we don't need a whole day there. Like,
No.
We can get up early and drive and head home. We don't need to do what we did last time.
No, we don't need to do every day.
Dude, that was...
Well,
it
we
was
can always
fun,
hop on different... Yeah,
but it was
fun.
exhausting.
Yeah, it was.
By
Well,
the fifth day, I was... And then we ended with New Year's Eve.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I don't know how I don't know how we did that, because I could not do that today. And it's only a few years later.
Yeah, I couldn't do that either. Like, oh my gosh. We were built different at 21.
We were. Just 3 years later, and we're falling apart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
But yeah, so
dude, that was a wild time.
it really was. But yeah, so we rated this episode a 3 on the Meow Meow Bean scale.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd have to agree. I think it's a good episode, but I was like, it's missing that touch of greatness that would put it up to a 4 for me.
Yeah, same. Like, it's great. Like, Abed being Batman, phenomenal. Some of the jokes, great. But it's missing the chaos that other episodes have. I don't know how else to describe it other than chaos. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's our rating. That's the episode. Make sure you guys go check us out on Instagram and Threads. We also have a YouTube channel. We don't really post anything there other than these episodes. So if that's where you're listening from, then you're already there.
Yeah.
And if like for some reason your favorite podcast platform like decides to stop hosting us for some dumb reason, you never know, it could happen. Or the podcast platform itself could shut down. You always have a backup on
Hope
YouTube.
not. Yeah.
No, hopefully not. Well, Spotify's not going anywhere.
yeah,
Apple
no.
Music's, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, those aren't going anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm just more talking about the smaller platforms that we post on. Right now, I believe we're on Spotify. That's the main one. We're on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I just got us onto SiriusXM today on the 22nd
Nice.
of May. So hopefully by the time the second episode comes out tomorrow, for us, because by now this is episode 7 for our listeners. Hopefully it should be up on Sirius XM as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
Sweet.
whatever platform you use, rate us, leave a comment. I know Spotify has those Q&A things sometimes, so yeah, might as well check that out. And then tune in next time when we shall review Home Economics.
All right.
I'm excited for this one.
I see the name. I don't remember what it is, but I'm sure once I start watching, I'll remember. So I'm excited too.
It is. Should I give a light spoiler or no?
Nah, just tell me after we're done recording.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
So tune in next time for Home Economics. Make sure you listen next week to find out why we like this episode so much, and you will hear us then.
All right. See y'all later. Or
See.
I guess you'll hear us later. Anyway.
No, you're doing it.
All right, signing off. Bye guys.
Signing off. All right.